This is a permaculture garden in Palma Soriano. It's in a housing estate, and Lisette is providing fresh vegetables for over 300 families from her gardens. This is the El Ranchon Gardens in Sanctus Spiritus, another provincial city. This particular garden is fueled on manure from the city horse taxis, and it's got the city's own one and only composting toilet up there in the top left. Rainwater collection tanks and basic infrastructure is. It's really difficult to get these resources, and people really prize them, and a lot of these things got destroyed with the cyclone, with the hurricane last year. So it's been a huge job of reinstalling the infrastructures in many of these places. This is a dear old lady in Pina del Rio who's got the most amazing home food forest. And Thomas, who runs an organoponico for a school, and the organoponico provides vegetables for the school lunches. All children receive lunch at school, and also is sold as a fundraiser for the school, and provides free vegetables for the elderly in the community. This is Thomas's food forest at home. He's got a half an acre, and he's got 100 species planted there. Now he's got 37 different varieties of bananas, which he counts as only one species. Pretty amazing. Casimiro is one of Cuba's legends in terms of the sustainable agriculture and permaculture movement. You can see the top right photo is next door when his father died. The family farm was divided between him and his brother. His brother continued with the normal agriculture, and Casimiro went to permaculture and divided his farm up into small quarter-acre areas with living fences, 60% of them with perennial crops and 40% for rotational annual crops. All done with animal power and a couple of windmills. One of the things that's so, I think, amazing about Cuba is really the sense of community and conviviality. It's something that we rarely find in Western society. And there was a bit of it back in the 50s, maybe early 60s, but it sort of got lost since then. And yet without that, our lives actually become strangely meaningless. And I think it's really sad how few people actually know their neighbours in our worlds. It's something that a Cuban just simply cannot understand, how a person would not know their neighbours. You depend on your neighbours for survival, and they depend on you. And they've survived the blockade and the special period. Now there's the crisis of recovering from those two devastating, well, they actually had 3 hurricanes in 3 weeks, but 2 particularly devastating ones in 10 days, in August, September last year. And pretty amazing, 1 million people got evacuated in 24 hours. Everybody knew where to go. The word just went out, and they have got an incredible program of community preparedness in the face of crisis. But the hurricane did have its impact. Over 500,000 homes were severely damaged, and the reconstruction process is severely hampered by lack of access to building materials and tools. 80% of crops were decimated. Some of these crops are only just now beginning to recover, and just the first plantain crops were being harvested when I was in Cuba a couple of weeks ago. And of course there's billions of dollars of infrastructure damage, much of which is still to be repaired. And this is one of the legacies of climate change, is the increasing severity and frequency of natural disasters globally. The chart on the right is from the World Health Organization, showing the increase in natural disasters from 1975 to 2001. And it's an exponential curve. There's more and more happening. The severity and the frequency of these events is increasing. And it's the world's poorest people that are being most severely affected. I think we've got a lot to learn from Cuba in terms of disaster preparedness. So, yeah, the key lessons. Well, we've got to decentralise. We need to localise to human pedestrian scale. We need to develop food, health and education security in our communities. Frugality, I think, is a big one. We can live better with less. We need to aspire to generate no waste. In Australia, 40% of food that people purchase is actually thrown away, ends up in landfill. 40% of gadgets people buy, little technical toys and power tools and gadgets for the kitchen and so forth, are either never used or used once and forgotten about. We need to get to know our neighbours and rebuild a sense of community. And we all need to look very carefully at community disaster response planning. And there's many easy steps that we can all take as individuals to reduce our footprint now. We can buy less and we can purchase only what's essential. We can invest in durable items, things that don't need electricity, and renewable energy systems. We can adapt our diet and buy local seasonal produce and avoid imports, especially imports of fresh foods, because they're flown, such huge distances around the planet. Avoiding processed foods is a big one too, and just eating more fresh food. Food is really a big one. In Australia, it's responsible for 42% of our ecological footprint and 26% of our greenhouse gas emissions. You've probably got similar figures here. We need to instigate relocalisation plans, get our transition town strategies underway. We've got a generation of useless people. They don't know even how to thread a needle, let alone how to repair an item of clothing. And I think that's where the new economy is going to be. That's where the next wave of employment is going to be when we downsize, when we start to live more within our footprint. We're going to become a society of not consumers, but of repairers and maintainers. Yeah. So there you go. Some ideas from Cuba in terms of living within our ecological footprint. Thank you so much.